In this video today, I will be explaining to you how to conduct ISO 27001 training and awareness based on the clause 7.2 and 7.3. We will also learn how to implement the training, choose the topics, mode of delivery, and look at some examples of the training and awareness. So, as ISO 27001 requirement, clause 7.2 states, simply put, any person in the organization that performs security activity must have that knowledge to perform these activities. Let's look at an example. If you have a new internal auditor, you must send him or her to do some training if the person do not have understanding of what ISO 27001. More or less, let's say if your organization has bring in a new tool, like let's say audit board, Vanta, know before, or let's say Active Directory from Azure environment, they do not understand the concept of this. You need to send these employees to what? The training to understand. Let's look at the overall awareness training for the organization itself for employees. So let's say you are trying to go through access reviews in the whole organization. You need to then train the organization about those access reviews in the organization. As I earlier mentioned about what 7.3, which is what awareness, clause 7.3 also talks about awareness, which requires employees to be aware of the cybersecurity policies and procedures. That is just as easy as it comes. Let's look at some of the core principles or some of the processes that engages in what ISO 27001 training. Implementing the training. What are the course programs that we need to look at? Here we are looking at what ISO 27001 foundation and internal audit for internal auditors, like I mentioned in my example earlier. Lead auditor course. This lead auditor course mostly are for certification auditors. But if you are an internal auditor and then you want to get much more understanding as to how the auditor thinks when they are about to audit your environment, you can also take that certification course. You can also have what we call the lead implementer course for people who are actually running the ISMS program. So if you have anyone in the organization who is coming in to run the ISMS program or any information security program in your environment, the lead implementer course is going to be one of the major areas that they need to look at. Let's also look at the internally organized training for groups and how to choose the topics. Here we are looking at the key topics we need to cover for the awareness and training. Depending on your organization, risk environment, and audience, here are some of the common essential topics we can pick that can be used to tailor your organizational need. Let's look at some of the topics. So here you could see I do have ISO clause 4 to 10, which I am saying that it covers what the ISMS management clauses. This is mainly for more or less the internal auditors and the implementers in the organization, or anyone that has any role to play in the ISMS program. Here we are looking at what the management clauses, what ISO 27000 is all about. We are looking at the various key principles that outlines to make sure your ISMS is working effectively. Then we can also look at any cybersecurity related topics that can range from threat landscape, phishing, password authentication, MFA, cloud security, email security. Here we are looking at what threats that exist in the organization and also new threats that are emerging from external sources. This is where attackers are trying to maneuver their way in order to be able to breach or break organization structure. So you need to be able to let employees as well as stakeholders understand the new landscape of threats, that is to understand the new landscape of threats that we are day in and day out facing in the organization. Let's look at how to deliver the training and then the topics that we have selected. Here there are two main approaches that I use. I use either the audience segmentation or role-based training or a mixture of the delivery format. I have a format in which I use. There are two main areas that I use whenever I am delivering the training. So in delivering this training, you can know that there are a lot of security awareness training tools that is out there, like Know Before, delivering training to your employees. So why do I say mix of delivery format? We do have the live session. We do have the e-learning modules so people can go at their own pace. We do have the micro learning. Here, these are going to be short trainings or bite-sized training. More or less in most organizations, these are optional trainings that employees can take to always better their understanding on the cybersecurity landscape that we are in. We do have simulations whereby more or less people are always looking at the phishing simulations in the organization. We are also looking at workshops and group discussions. Workshops and group discussion more or less works better for the SME, more or less works better for the SMEs. The SMEs like the engineers, the infrastructure architects, the pen testers, all these people, you have to have a working session or a group session to discuss what are these areas that are affecting the organization. Like we can have the tabletop exercise exercise, an XDLC exercise, an OWASP training for what? The code reviews and all that stuff. These things fall under how you are delivering those training, and then you can be able to deliver this training based on these topics that I've mentioned. Let's look at some few examples of training and awareness that I have always looked at. More or less, let's pick it one by one. Let's look at the activities for competence. Under competence, we are looking at a role-based security training, whereby we are having training for specific SMEs, HR and the likes. We are having finance team. So role-based security training still falls under the second topic I'm talking about, which is called technical skill training. Here, the DevOps teams, the SecOps teams, the IT teams, the vulnerability teams, all these people still falls under the role-based training. But again, here we go into technically competence metrics. You could see competence metrics. We are looking at the role of each and every individual in an organization, and then these training are being taken as and when they have to take them. Let's also look at the activities for awareness. Awareness here, we are looking at annual training. We are looking at you always put in posters or security newsletters in your intranet site or your internet site. Leadership messages, whereby your leadership is always sending out emails like your CEO, your CISO, making reinforcing the importance of security. We also have campaigns, phishing campaigns, annual campaigns, as well as policy acknowledgement, acknowledging the information security policy, acknowledging the vulnerability policies that the organization has written. We are looking at the October Awareness Month, which has been dedicated as a month where you then pick more on cybersecurity issues. You elaborate on how to educate your employees on cybersecurity issues and security as a whole. Let's look at some of the evidence that you need to show your auditor when it comes to the ISO 27001 awareness and training. Here you can show them training plans as to what has been scheduled for the year, record of the participation from the training that has happened, the evaluation of competence, people who are competent. So probably if you are an ISMS lead, you need to show that you have an ISO 27001 lead implementer or a lead auditor training certificate. You need to show whether you have a CISA certificate. You need to show that you are competent in doing that job. And that is where the evaluation comes in play. And then we are looking at those newsletters that you take out to your employees for them to read and all that stuff, showing your communication of everything that goes out to the employees in there. Hope this helps. Please do let me know what you think in the comment section. If you like this video, please do subscribe and give it a thumbs up and not to miss my new videos. Thank you.